Yeah, it took me years to leave. It took me years to give up. I was one, as I said before, I absolutely lived it. And I remember other people when, you know, we'd have these, meetings would just break me out in hives. You know, I'd wake up on a beautiful Sunday morning and there'd be a meeting in the afternoon, ruined my day. Because they were so fraught and so bitter, because they, you know, this is years and years of people just like this, and they're egos basically. So whatever that person suggested, even if that other person agreed, they'd say no because that person suggested it. And I felt like I spent all my time in the meetings trying to kind of go, but you know, can't we meet each other? And really, you know, like the guy who took the tap off the fence, it was an act of sabotage because I had put the tap on the fence. You know, that sort of stuff over time really screws your head up if you can't resolve it. And in the end, there were two men in particular who were, it was funny because we had the other side. They lived on the other side of the farm and they were known as the other side, but then they called us the other side because we were on the other side. So I quite like that idea. Anyway, these two guys, me and a couple of others were, you know, we were the enemy because we weren't doing we didn't agree to do it the way they wanted to do it. So for years I found it really hard to cope with their absolute venom. They really hated me, and sometimes they'd call me Olive Jones when they were talking to me instead of Olive Jones. I found that a really hard thing, and over the years I just wake up at the night, anxiety stuff, you know, if I heard noises of parties, because, you know, while there were the other side, there was also the folly, where all the black drinking clothed people were, and man, they're out of it. In the middle of the night, some, you know, absolutely hair-raising things have happened on that farm from people, you know, all that really out of it stuff. On the land that you live on, my anxiety levels just got too high, and also it just, you know, it's really disheartening when you keep doing things and people just take what you do. I didn't want to grow food for those people. And so that was one thing that was happening. The other thing that was happening is that I was intellectually really hungry. I was really interested in the ideology of what we were doing, and so few others were. John and Pete were pretty much the only others who were part of this original group. And but I just wanted I wanted to be amongst people who like to talk about these ideas. So I decided I'd go to university, and that was my way out, really. That started me on this path down to now, where I'm actually doing a PhD, can you believe it, about communities. That was, you know, quite a while ago. Oh, and the other thing was, I didn't want my daughter to be a teenager in that community. I had a little girl who, for little children, it's wonderful, you know. It's like Graham was describing at Tuntable in Australia, you know, the children were this little gang that just roamed every day and had the most fabulous free life. But they grew up, they got to about 12 years old, and they'd start smoking dope, and too much freedom, not enough happening for them, you know, they live in the country, they couldn't get into town. So the choice to go to university, and my idea that I wanted her to have a bigger view of the world than what that community was presenting, made me leave. But it was a really hard decision. I still love that place. I haven't lived there for, I don't know, 20 years now nearly. And I go back frequently and visit. I visit friends down the road. I don't stay on the farm, but it is a really beautiful place. It's right on the edge of the national park, so it's the biggest national park in New Zealand, the Kahurangi National Park. So there's foothills behind the land that goes up into forest, and in fact it goes right through to the west coast of the South Island. The land itself's on a terrace, a river terrace, so there's the Motueka Valley, huge valley with a big river down it, and this is on a raised terrace above that valley, so you can't see onto it, you've got to drive onto it. And over 30 years, you know, there's woodlots and orchards and little houses and open parts, and it's really run down now, but it wouldn't take much to clean it up. Oh, my friends and I often say we would like to live in community together, friends. As old people, be a great way to be old together, and employ some of our children to, you know, turn us around and push us back home when we forget the way. But I would consider living collectively again, not in community. Well, I would do it in the way a lot of people are doing it, in an eco-village type setting where you basically buy your share, which entitles you to a part. Or if it was co-housing, same thing. My bit, I can sell it if I want on a market basis, and I'm entitled to a certain area, but I live in a neighbourhood, in a village setting with people that I really like. I would consider that. Because it's kind of lonely living in a nuclear. Well, I live with my partner, and I frequently feel quite bereft when my friends down south, they're the people, we had our children together, we had that really profound experience together. They mostly still live down there, not at Renaissance, in the area, there's a lot of people. And they have the most wonderful get-togethers and, 50th birthday parties and weddings, and I'm not there, and I'm really aware that I'm missing something, that they're like my clan, they're my tribe or my people, and I don't live with them, and I miss that. So I'll go back there when I'm old. Well, I suppose I'm thinking what's emerging for me in my research, and what I was talking about in that paper was this kind of tension between the independence and the kind of collectiveness of community. And when you ask me would I live in community again, only until very recently I'd say, no way. I like having my quarter-acre section. It's my place. I plant a tree there if I want, and I grow this here if I want. I paint the house, or I pull up the something. I don't have to ask anybody or get anyone else to agree, and I don't have to argue my case for the things I want to do. So I'm a fiercely independent person, or individualistic person in that respect. But I am also really conscious of the global situation that the planet is in, that we can't continue to use the amount of resources per person that we use. I know that, and I'm really into collective. I think it's really important to collectively share resources. So in our neighbourhood we've got a fence through the back, a gate through the back fence to our neighbours, and we share the trailer, and if I'm doing this we share extra vegetables, whatever. That's on a really small scale, but I really believe that there's a loneliness and an isolation in being on your own that I haven't ever overcome that. And I think being part of a community, a village, kibbutz, looks good to me wandering around, don't know how it is to live in them, but being part of a recognised community of people, I think that's the way we need to work out ways to get back there. But we also need to protect individuals' ability to do what they want to do, because a community, I don't think, is efficient when it's really, really collective, unless it's something like the Bruderhof, who, everything they do is for God, and everybody is a cog in a machine. There's no individuality, they wear the same clothes, everything. But if we want to be creative, independent, individual people, I'm really interested in how we can find ways to bridge this individual collective gap so that we can form communities. And at the moment, I think those eco-village models are quite good.